Hello folks, welcome to the channel. Hope everybody is keeping well on this glorious sunny day. Now I find myself out and about on my lovely Triumph Speed Twin 1200. Now I've had this bike for about 2 years. I've done about 1,000 miles on it. The bike itself has done 5,670 miles and it is a 2020 model, and it's basically the Gen 1 model. It's the one with the rubber gaiters at the top of the fork. So this bike hasn't got the fancy upside down forks that the later models did get, but I absolutely love the bike. It's in the best colour. It's in the silver ice colour. Now Triumph did an absolutely cracking job when they brought this to market back in 2019. It's a nice quality machine. However, they sort of mucked up on one of the major things, and that was the suspension. So that's what we're talking about today, is suspension for your Generation 1, i.e. 2019 and 2020 Triumph Speed Twin 1200. Yep, they they could have done, how shall we say, oh, there's somebody with a parachute thingy up there. They could have done a better job, shall we say. See if they give us a wave. They could have done a better job. Superb. They could have done a better job. You don't see that very often. Yeah, they could have done a better job in the suspension department, but as I say, it is what it is. So yeah, I've had this bike for 2 years, absolutely love it, but you know what, I'm just looking at trying to improve the suspension. So that's the purpose of today's video, is really I'm just going to bring you guys along on my suspension journey to try and improve the suspension of this fabulous machine. Let's just talk about the suspension that it came with back in 2019 and 2020. So it's got non-adjustable forks at the front. They're 41mm forks from KYB, and they have got linear springs in, if that means anything to you folks. And I think the spring rate is 8.5 newtons per millimetre or something like that. And the rear non-adjustable shocks, well, sorry, you can adjust them for preload, and they are also KYB. Now the front shocks, or the front springs, forks, whatever you want to call them, are really, in my mind, really soft. You touch the brakes and it ends up, you know, doing a lot of nose diving, shall we say. I'm no suspension expert. The front I find is too soft, and then the rear is just too firm actually. So what we're going to do is try and come up with something better, but without breaking the wallet or breaking the bank or getting you into trouble with your partner when they ask, well, how much money have you spent? So you can spend about £7,500 and get one of these, or you can go to your local Triumph dealer with about £15,000 and then buy the latest 2025 RS Speed Twin 1200, which has got fully adjustable suspension at the front and the rear. Or you can take in about £12,000 and get the base Speed Twin 1200, which has got no adjustments in the front fork but has got adjustable suspension, but only for preload. So basically like this model here. So that's the purpose of today's video, is basically telling you what I'm going to try and do with my Speed Twin, i.e. I'm going to try and improve the suspension and get a better ride, a more compliant ride. So without further ado, let's roll the intro. Welcome back. So today's video, it's not an installation video, it's just letting you know what my plans are for my Speed Twin when it comes to upgrading the suspension on it without breaking the bank. The bike generally is fine for pottering around on, but if you want to go and ride progressively, that's when you realise you need to upgrade the suspension, which is what I am going to be doing very shortly indeed in the next video. So subscribe and all that kind of YouTube stuff. I'm 92 kilos with all my riding kit on, and yeah, the front's just too soft, the rear's too firm, and that's on level 1 on the preload. I've got Vance & Hines exhaust on, and generally if you want to adjust the preload, if you carry a pillion, then behind the right hand panel is an adjustment bar. Take that from behind the right hand panel, insert it into the hole at the bottom of the shocks, and then adjust the ramp adjuster to increase or decrease the preload as you see fit. Now, with a set of Vance and Hines exhausts on, or indeed an aftermarket exhaust possibly, you have to undo the exhausts, move them out of the way, and then put the adjustment tool in there and then adjust the preload at the bottom, which is a right raw pain in the backside. Quicker way for me anyway. Not that I need to adjust the preload, but if I was going to take a pillion and I wanted to increase the preload on the rear shocks, and all I need to do is go to my garage, find a cargo strap, tie down strap, loop it around the bottom of the shock, and then make a loop. And then with, in my case, I was using a breaker bar, a strong metal bar, and then rest that, once you've put it through the loop, rest it on the top of the tyre, and then making sure the bike doesn't fall over is push the breaker bar upwards. Nice Ferrari. Push the breaker bar or the metal bar upwards. That will take the pressure off the shock, and then you can move the ramp adjuster and set it accordingly. So that is a little tip from me to you. But I won't be adjusting the preload. I've put it on number 2, and that was absolutely rock solid. It's on level 1 at the moment. That's the softest setting, and even then it's just too firm. I'm not going to go into sag settings or anything like that. There's loads of videos on the internet out about that. But the front of the bike and the rear of the bike, suspension travel is both 120 millimeters. And basically I have too much sag at the front and too little sag at the rear, even on the lowest preload setting on the rear suspension. Yeah, I just can't get it in the ballpark figure. The ballpark figure, without going too crazy, is between 1/3 and 1/4 of your suspension travel for the sag in the front and the rear. For road riding, maybe slightly less for going on the track. But yeah, I can't get anywhere near those figures. It's just crazy. In fact, I will, without explaining it, I'm not going to get into my sag numbers. It all gets a little bit complicated. Go and have a look at some of the other YouTube videos. But these are my L1, L2, L3 sag numbers for the front and the rear. And yeah, you can see that, yeah, the front's too soft, the rear is too stiff as standard. So that's why I want to do something about it. And how am I going to do something about it? Well, I've gone on the internet. I mean, there's some really good companies out there. Obviously, Öhlins, you've got Nitron, a UK company. I did seriously have a look at Nitron, but if I put a cartridge kit in the front and the lovely R3 shocks at the back, we're talking crazy money. I'm not going to track day the bike. It's just me that rides it. I don't need massive amounts of adjustment. And I did have a budget because I didn't want my wife to go bananas at me. Yeah, I did seriously look at Nitron. Still an option if my option doesn't pan out for me. But yeah, a lot of money. So there is an outlay with a benefit kind of thing. So you've got to look at the benefit from the money you're spending and strike a happy balance, really. Öhlins, yeah, I didn't really look at Öhlins. And if you want to go sort of the lower end, then you have, I think it's the UK company Tech. They do, you can get some new springs and preload adjusters. I kind of just decided, having done a lot of research, I've gone with a UK company called Brook Suspension. I'm going to put some information down below, so go and check them out. Very helpful there. And basically I've gone for a set of YSS shocks. They're fully adjustable. They are a company based in Thailand. So I've gone for a set of YSS shocks, the all black ones, so they look really stealthy. So that's what I've gone for at the back, and they cost, I think it's about £740. That's including UK tax. So I'm waiting for them to come down to Brook Suspension. They'll send them on to me, then I'll fit them myself. But they look really nice. I'm going to put a picture up here of the bike, or of a bike like mine, with me sort of doing some editing on it, and that's what the bike hopefully is going to look like. So they're going to be fitted by me. That should be a 20-minute job to fit those. Not very hard at all. And then, having spoken to the chap at Brook Suspension, we kind of came up with a plan. Now, the front suspension on the Triumph, the 1920 model, with the gaitered, or the gaiters on the forks, well, we know they're KYB forks, and the springs in the front, they're linear springs. You might not understand it, but they are linear springs, and the spring rate is 8.5 Newton meters or newtons per millimeter, and the fork oil is standard. Bear in mind this bike is nearly 5 years old as well. I don't know if that has any bearing to it. The oil might have degraded, but the linear springs at the front are 8.5 newtons per millimeter, or whatever the technical term is. So what we've decided, and a 10 weight oil in the forks are standard. So what our plan is to fit a set of Hyperpro linear fork springs in the front. So just drop the forks, take them out, empty all the old oil, give them a bit of a clean, put the springs in, and the new fork oil. The new fork oil from Hyperpro is going to be a 15 weight oil, so it's a heavier oil, and the springs are still linear springs, but they are stronger springs, if that's the right terminology. Stiffer spring, I'm not sure, but they are now 9.5 newtons per millimeter. So that's what we're going to be fitting. The spring kit from Hyperpro, I can't remember off the top of my head how much they were, including UK tax. I'm going to say about 130, 140 pounds, but I'll put it up here. And again, I'll put all the information down below. Go and have a look at it, go and check it out. So pretty much that is the plan, and what we're hoping is we'll be able to get our sag settings in the ballpark figure. So we've got 120 mils of travel, so between a third and a quarter, so between 30 and 40 millimeters of rider sag. That's what we're looking at being able to get to. So that's going to be in the next video. I didn't want to make this one complicated, just wanted to let you know what my plans are for my lovely Speed Twin 1200. Love the bike, but I don't love the suspension. It all gets a bit wiggly woggly when you're on the gas. Anyway guys, make some comments in the comment section down below. Ride safe, and we'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheerio for now. Bye.